Two guys in the dark.
We met in a group in undergrad. We became friends. Slowly, we became much closer. Developed a crush on him. We started hanging out more on our own. One night after some drinks, it escalated into some kissing and then cuddling. I messaged him later, letting him know that while I enjoyed what happened, I didn't think that it was a good idea for us to keep it up, as I had feelings for him and wasn't really interested in a friends with benefits kind of setup. He told me that he kind of had feelings as well, that it might be nice to see how our relationship actually developed. We did. We started dating. Dinners, movies, all the physical stuff that comes with a relationship. When he was briefly hospitalized, I spent every single night there with him. I opened up to him over time, told him about my history of sexual abuse, family history of substance abuse. He opened up about his history of being used by his exes, how they were all horrible and had treated him horribly, how he's just been so nice that everyone takes advantage of him, that all he wants is to find a nice girl who will love him for who he is, and that he can treat like a princess. One night, we were probably about 4 or 5 months in. We're laying in bed together, watching a movie. I started telling him about a funny conversation that I had at work. So then I was saying, my boyfriend and I feel him stiffen up, and he kind of awkwardly says, "You know, we're not dating, right? Like, I thought we just had a fun thing going on." So apparently we're friends with benefits. The exact thing that I told him that I didn't want. I asked him if we could just start dating then. He said he was just too busy for an actual relationship, even though we were basically in one. I told him that I was really hurt, felt used, that I wasn't interested in being anything more than acquaintances in the future. After that, I slowly started seeing someone, a guy who was actually pretty great, had actively pursued me. And guy number one flipped out. Apparently, even though he didn't want to be in a relationship with me, I wasn't allowed to be with anyone else. For months afterwards, he spent most of his time bad-mouthing me to whomever would listen, talking about how I just used him, how I'm just like every single slut who thinks that she's too good for everyone, how he had treated me so well, and I had ripped his heart out. The worst part, though, was that he told numerous individuals and groups of people all about my personal history. Apparently a couple of times, after a couple of drinks, he'd even start to cast doubt on it, comparing what I did to him to my past abuse, stating that it was surprising to him that an alleged abuse victim would rape the feelings of innocent men. We no longer speak. I still hear about things that he said about me a couple of times a year. It really made me wonder about all those terrible exes that he had, and made me put more faith than ever into the thought that the way people talk to you about others is the same way that they'll talk to others about you. What a nice guy, right? I was on OkCupid for 2 years, had over 100 messages, and about 30 dates, 2 of which became relationships. One of them I am still currently in. It was a dry month, mostly one-liner messages asking, "How many fingers do you use when you masturbate?" Or "You seem cool. I want to talk more. DTF." And then one guy, Alex, asked me about my degree and how he was also pursuing higher education and worked on a thesis. That got the ball rolling, so we had a very nice conversation for days where each of us would respond to the message, make a few comments, maybe tell a story, and then ask another question or two. Honestly, the best conversationalist that I've come across. We agreed to meet at a Starbucks. I got there, ordered, paid, and then sat down. He arrives a little bit late, has to wait in line, and we sort of steal glances every once in a while as he waits. Then once he sits down, we both agreed how nice it was to finally meet. He says next time I'll just give you a different time to come so I can be here to buy your drink. I said that's very nice of you, but it's really no problem. You don't have to buy me anything. To which he turns his whole body to face me, puts his elbows on the table, and then says, "Thank you, thank you. You know, that's a great outlook on life, and that's something that I'm really looking for in a woman. Because, you know, I dated this girl who I met at some macaroon place, and you know what they charge for macaroons these days? $3. 3. So I ordered 2. She orders 3, and a drink. I took out my wallet, and was just $1 short, so I asked if she would cover that. And would you believe it? She did not have a dime on her. Then a few moments later, we talk about OkCupid. The macaron girl was also off OKC, and our weirdest dates and most random messages that we had. And this was the very moment that he said, I've had 9 dates in 2 weeks from my new method. Get ready, because I'm going to tell you the method for getting you girls in the chair. It starts with messaging. You always respond to a specific, add a story, then ask a question, in that order. Then you say that you'll meet somewhere for something quick, like a drink or a cafe. Then you drop the bomb that you're the total package. You're the man, you're in the zone, and that they can't do anything but agree because it worked. It totally worked, I mean. Here you are in the chair, and here I am on date number 10. Then for the next 2 hours explained to me just how great he was at getting women in the chair, but had no desire to be in a relationship. He was just a serial dater because it would be too much work, and that he was too considerate of the woman who he would be leading on with hopes of being official, or growing past dates and open hookups. I had a crush on a guy in high school. He was part of my BFF circle, so we were together a lot. I'm upfront, so I was clear that I had some feelings for him. He was uninterested in being anything more than friends. Whatever. I had another boyfriend kind of chasing me, so I gave him a shot. We started dating. I kept the friendship with this nice guy. Flash forward a year. Nice guy has become one of my closest friends. We eat lunch together, hang out like every day, and my boyfriend is often included, although they weren't close at all. Then a week before the nice guy leaves for college, he confesses that he's totally in love with me. My boyfriend will never fully understand me or treat me right. It's been 4 years, and we're still together, and I pretty much owe it to him to dump my boyfriend and fuck him before he moves to school. I told him no, obviously. He freaks out, tries to make me pay him back for all the money that he spent on me, which I'd never liked in the first place, and was always done sneakily. Like putting movie tickets on his card before we got to the theater, or paying for our food when I was in the bathroom. He spends like 3 weeks messaging me just really mean, vile stuff all the time, including some deeply personal stuff he was aware of due to our friendship. It hurts a lot to really regard somebody as a good, close friend, then be dropped like a hot potato when he realizes you still won't put out. He still messages me occasionally, usually to try to hit on me, and get pissed that I still love my boyfriend. Then he complains about being single. Gee, motherfucker, I wonder why. When I was in college, there was this nice guy that hung around my friends group. No one actually knew which one of us brought him in, so maybe he just decided to crash. Who knows? But he was pretty creepy. He hit on all the girls in the group aggressively, and whined daily about how we should give him a chance to show us how a lady should be treated. We usually just rolled our eyes, although a few of the guys took him aside on separate occasions, told him to just knock it off. He also went over the top in a lot of ways. He'd bring the girls flowers, or memorize their favorite candy, sodas, snacks, and present them as a token of his great affection. Yep, he called it that. Exactly that. He had a bad habit of insisting, like legit would not take no for an answer, on walking the women wherever we needed to go. Myself and my best friend at the time both told him his behavior was creepy. There was 3 women in the core group, 5 others who were close enough that they'd show up at LAN parties, or whatever we were doing. He asked every single one of us out at least 50 times. Every single time, we all said no. He'd go off on this awful charade about how women didn't want nice guys, and how we should just be open to the possibility of him being the love of our lives. It did not matter how many times we told him we were not interested, not attracted, or we were in relationships as is. Sophomore year, a new girl joined the group. For whatever reason, she liked our nice guy. A lot. It was weird, but he wasn't into her at all. A few of us started using our own BS rhetoric against him when he began whining about her not leaving him alone. It was really gross. I have a client who hits on me. He knows that I am married because he mentions it all the time. He also lashes out verbally if I say things that he doesn't like, which is truly scary. He's 55 and older, never moved out of his parents' house, spends his mother's money for everything. She's in her 80s and works 2 jobs to pay for his toys. One day, she came with him to see if there was anything that we could do to get his bills lower since she is struggling, and he starts lashing out at her. "Shut the fuck up. She isn't talking to you. You're stupid. Shut up." I felt honestly worried for his mother. Anyways, he would always purposely let his insurance lapse, just so that he would have an excuse to come in and sign a form so that he could talk to me. He was very blatant about it all. He always threw his mom under the bus for not paying his bills, but then would talk about how he bought this or that. And then he would say, "I knew that I should have paid that insurance, but I just couldn't pass up a chance to come say hi to you." One time he said that he couldn't come in until Saturday to sign the form, asked if I could make arrangements to be there on the weekend instead. I told him that we were closed. My coworker, an elderly man of 60 plus, said that he would be there if I had the forms ready. The guy got angry, said that he wanted me to be there on Saturday, alone, and that I should cancel my plans and be here no matter what. My mind got stuck on the alone part. I told him that I couldn't do it, but I would be back on Monday with a full staff, just in case. One day he called to use his mom's credit card to pay his bill. I didn't answer the phone right away because I had another client with me. He keeps calling over and over again. Finally, after the client left, I picked up the phone. He started yelling at me immediately. I asked him why he was so upset. He said that I couldn't get on the phone to pay my bill, so I used the money to buy my baseball cards. "This is your fault," then slammed the phone down on me. Just this past month, his vehicle is broken down, so he had to go buy another one. His mom went with him. He had insufficient credit for it, so his mom had to buy it under her name. I told them that I could not add the vehicle to the policy since the vehicle was not titled to him. We would have to cancel the policy, and she would need to put it on her insurance plan, which would be with a different agency. Finally, I would be free of him. Until he came in last week to sign the cancellation form, a document that is time-stamped. When he arrived, I didn't have the form already printed out, and he went off on me right then and there. "You should have had this form ready for me," and then claimed that I was being incompetent. I told him that it was a time-stamped form, and that the document is not generated until the client is sitting in front of me and ready to cancel, because it has to be signed at that very moment. He signed the form, then he stomped off. I felt relief that I wouldn't have to deal with him anymore, until he came back in the door, and then said, "By the way, let me know when you break it off with your husband. I might have to come back and get insurance from you once again." During all of this, I let my husband know everything, just in case something did happen. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and hit the bell for notifications on future videos, and become a stalker of the night. And I'll see you next time.